Hello Manchester United fans, I am Sam Hutchison with the Manchester Evening News, and here is how Rasmus Hojlund will revolutionise Manchester United's attack. Man United went all summer needing a striker, and following the signing of Hojlund for £72 million, there was a lot of criticism. However, I do think it's a really smart bit of business by Manchester United, which has been a rarity in recent years. I do think he will be exactly what Manchester United need up front, and his debut against Arsenal was really positive. We'll see how he gets on this international break, but I do think he's pretty much exactly what Man United need. He's not been brought in as solely a goal scorer. That's a big part of where the criticism came from earlier in the transfer window. He isn't going to score 40 goals like Erling Haaland. He isn't going to score, a goal every game. He has been brought in to make Manchester United a more complete team. And I think we saw against Arsenal shades of that and what he can bring in Manchester United's whole setup. His debut against Arsenal was really positive. He didn't score a goal, which is a shame. He didn't get on the score sheet. He didn't get an assist. But it was a really positive cameo appearance. He was fast. He was strong. He looked confident. He looked like he knew how to lead a line on his own, which can be an issue when signing a striker from a side like Atalanta, who often played a sort of very different system to how Erik ten Hag wants his Man United side to play. And Rasmus Hojlund's positioning also allows Marcus Rashford to be back out on the left, where we know we get the best of Marcus Rashford, and Antony on the right wing, or Garnacho or Pellistri or Ahmad when he returns on that right wing. There is a real option there for Erik ten Hag to have a lot of different front threes that work with Rasmus Hojlund and Marcus Rashford still included in the team. I think also his hold-up play against Arsenal was brilliant. We saw it for the Garnacho disallowed goal, where he sort of knocked it through. It was a really deft touch, perfectly weighted from Rasmus Hojlund to get Garnacho on past that last man. And whether he was onside or offside, it was ruled out in the end. But the run was there, the thinking was there, and they seem to be already operating on the same wavelength, which is strange given that that was Hojlund's debut and he's only been in training for a couple of weeks. But the comparisons to players like Erling Haaland have been unfair so far. Erling Haaland came in as this world-class striker to Manchester City, and he was always going to be this goal-scoring striker that was going to be a real threat for City. The problem that then comes with signing another striker a season later is that everybody expects him to have a very similar impact. Hojlund was not brought in for that, and Erik ten Hag knows what he's doing with bringing Hojlund in instead of bringing in a guaranteed goal scorer. And there's been a lot of speculation that the pressure is just building on Rasmus Hojlund. The pressure is not anywhere near as much as it has been rumoured to be, because he only has to perform better than Anthony Martial and Wout Weghorst last season, and that's really not a difficult task. Weghorst might be one of the worst strikers in Manchester United history, and Martial just can't stay fit and make a run in the team where we might actually see some decent form. Any good form from Martial seems to be disrupted completely by injury. And the pressure for Rasmus Hojlund, if he hits double figures in the league this season, I think that is a good season for him. I don't think we should be expecting him to score 25 goals, because it's not going to happen. And the way he plays in a front three with Marcus Rashford off the left, who is capable of scoring 25 goals, we are going to see an improvement in Marcus Rashford's game, because he'll have someone to build off. He won't be the sole striker, the sole creator, the sole goal scorer for Manchester United, which he was at times last season. Obviously, Marcus Rashford had such a spectacular season last season, and I do think overall in the numbers wise, we're not going to see that again. But Rasmus Hojlund can take some of those numbers off him, and I think we probably will see Rasmus Hojlund do just that. I have Rasmus Hojlund's stats open on the screen in front of me, and across the board as a striker, he is really good at just across the board. We're looking at, he's in the 72nd percentile of non-penalty goals, 0.42 per 90, which is pretty impressive. To say he didn't play that many full 90s last season for Atalanta, he's only played one so far for Manchester United. You know, in the last year, having a 0.42 per 90 goals is pretty good. That's almost 1 every 2 games. His expected goals is actually higher. It was expected that he would score 1 more last season than he scored. He scored 9 in the Serie A last season, and its expected goals was up near 10. But he also takes a lot of shots. Doesn't get too many assists. You know, he's at 0.1 assist per 90, which every 10 games an assist. But Man United fans, that's not really what he's been brought in to do. He's already showing how he fits into a front three at Man United, and I think it was a really positive debut, like I've already said. Shot creating actions are quite high. He's at 2.8 per 90, which is really a massive number when you think about it, especially in what is going to be a free attacker formation. Now, onto his more creative stats. His pass completion rate is actually okay, 73.8% pass completion. His progressive passes, 1.71 per 90, but that's very hard when you're often the most forward player. He's often holding it up and laying it off to other wingers or other strikers around him. His progressive carries, he has got really good dribble numbers. You know, his progressive carries is at just over 2 per 90. Successful take-ons is at 1.45 per 90. His touches in the attacking penalty area are really high, just under 7, which is the 93rd percentile. But the progressive passes received, and this is a real massive one for how Erik ten Hag wants his side to build up. His progressive passes received, he is in the best 1% of strikers in Europe, and that is just magic. That's going to be so huge for the way Erik ten Hag wants his wingers to act, his midfield to act. And I think, you know, Man United have been really unfortunate with injuries in these first couple of weeks of the season. I think if Manchester United can get a full strength starting 11 out, I do think Hojlund will make everybody in this team play better. You know, Mount will have an extra option up front in the option that Martial doesn't really provide. Rashford doesn't really provide when he's up front. Rashford really likes a diagonal run across a defence to pull a right back out of position. And when he's playing up front, he can't do that. When he's playing off the left wing, he really can. And he's fantastic at it. It's probably his best play. But Hojlund's going to allow that by dropping a little bit into midfield. Not really into... I don't want to say into midfield. He's going to drop a little bit deeper than maybe a last man striker would usually. And I think that giving Mount and Fernandes and Casemiro an extra option in that gap between where Rashford and Antony should be making those runs in behind a defence, having Hojlund in that gap might just be a game changer for Manchester United. His defensive stats are okay. His aerial duels, 1.56 per 90. That is pretty decent for a striker who's not a massive aerial threat. He's not a hugely tall striker, and he's not been played with ball lumped up to him, which we aren't likely to see at all this season either. Erik ten Hag really wants to switch from this sort of lump the ball up that was happening with De Gea into a more progressed slowly up the pitch sort of style with Onana. The whole system that Erik ten Hag wants to play, this 4-2-3-1 sort of 4-3-3, 2 high and wide wingers, a sole striker, a number 10, an 8, and then a 6 in midfield. You're looking at Casemiro being that 6, Mount being that 8, and Bruno Fernandes being that 10. And I think Hojlund dropping in as that number 9, as that sole number 9 on his own with Rashford off the left and Antony off the right, it is a real recipe for success that Erik ten Hag has been cooking up here. And so, Manchester United fans, how I think he will revolutionise the attack is getting involved with the play a lot more than just scoring the goals. I think he'll score the goals, I think he'll get the assists, but I also think the way he will change how Manchester United can build up and can create chances will be completely revolutionary. But Man United fans, let me know what you think about Rasmus Hojlund and the signing of him and what you thought of his debut. Make sure to check out the Manchester Evening News for all the best Man United coverage throughout the season. Check us out on all our socials. We are on TikTok now as well. And I will speak to you next time.